Before beginning this course, it's really important that you match some of the prerequisites required in order to make the most out of this information. So of course, if you're not familiar with Kubernetes, it's going to be a bit of a challenge to understand everything that's going on in this UI. The best place to begin your knowledge of Kubernetes is, of course, the Kubernetes website. The documentation is excellent. There are lots of videos online, lots and lots of information is available. You don't have to be an expert in Kubernetes by any stretch, but familiarity with concepts like pod, deployment, service, daemon sets, that kind of thing, it's just going to make this whole thing run a little bit easier for you. So I would strongly recommend doing a few Kubernetes tutorials if you're not already familiar with Kubernetes. I imagine most of you will be because this is a very Kubernetes focused talk. The next thing to be familiar with is Helm. We use Helm for some of the installations and some of the tutorials. It's really useful just to make sure you're comfortable with this because even without Coralogix, it's a staple of the Kubernetes and container orchestration world. But it's really useful to have this in your belt anyway. But I would recommend having an understanding of this before you go too deep. Now, if you don't have a Kubernetes environment already, for example, EKS, GKE, AKS, whatever, you can actually just spin up your own Minikube environment. So if you wish to get hands-on and actually run through some of these tutorials yourself before deploying into your shared environment, I would recommend Minikube. There are some alternatives as well, like Kind and things, but they don't always implement the complete Kubernetes API. Minikube is very, very good at emulating a Kubernetes environment on your local machine. Be aware Macs with M1 chips might have some funny behaviors around virtual machines, although VirtualBox does have a new version now that supports that. But if you're on a Windows machine, Minikube backed by VirtualBox is a very, very good approximation of an online course, of an online running Kubernetes cluster. The final thing is, as part of this course, we're not going to be deep diving into every single Coralogix feature. The reason why is because we have this course, Getting to Know Coralogix. This breaks down a huge amount of information about what's going on in Coralogix, what the different features are, how to use all the different alarms and different widgets in custom dashboards and much, much more. So you don't have to go through this entire course, but if at any point you're going through this Kubernetes course and you think, oh, I wish I knew more about that feature, check out the Getting to Know Coralogix course. The chances are there will be a very detailed breakdown of everything you need to know about that feature. So if you're familiar with Kubernetes, Helm, you have a running environment, whether it's Minikube or EKS or whatever, and you have a decent familiarity with the Coralogix platform, you're going to have a very easy time to understand this course. And I hope this really unlocks all of the potential that's wrapped up in your Kubernetes cluster and shows you just how powerful the Coralogix platform is. Let's get started.